One thing that I'm going to introduce now is something called reframing, which Bandler and Grinder would do very elegantly using language or using language really, sometimes tasks, but let's stick with language. It's where you can say something and a map across occurs. So you remember we went through a map across where it was like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well this, reframing, is where you do that, but you're doing it by spinning or flipping language. For example, a banker way back in the 70s went to, I think, Bandler and Grinder and said, I've got a daughter, she's 17 and she's very, very stubborn. She just won't do as she's told. And I want you to change her and I want you to make her do as she's told. So Bandler and Grinder listened and they recognised the client that they really had was not the daughter, it was the banker. I get a lot of people come to me and they say, John, you do that NLP, hypnosis, all that voodoo stuff. Can you change my wife? Can you get her to do X, Y, and Z? You've got to know who your client is. There is a code of ethics. But if you want somebody to change, what's the quickest way to get somebody else to change? Change yourself. You're part of the pattern. So if you want me to help your partner change or a colleague, I can't work with them, but you're part of the pattern. You change, they change. So they had this banker and they recognised that to some degree the daughter, maybe she was stubborn, but that was okay. But really their client was the banker. And they helped him by reframing. And they used a certain type of reframing called context reframing, where they kept the behaviour constant, but they moved the context of the behaviour. So here's what they did. They said, so you've got a daughter who's 17. Yeah. And she's stubborn. Yes. And currently this is a problem for you because she won't do as she's told for you. Yes. So they said, the fact that she is 17, I don't know what 17-year-old girls do. I don't know what 17-year-old boys do. But there may be a situation sometime in the future where your daughter is in the back seat of a car, maybe watching a drive-in movie with a guy. And that guy may have amorous feelings and thoughts about your daughter, and he may let his arms stray around her shoulders as they're watching this movie. And depending on what style of movie it is, he may become more amorous and the connection may become more connected. And he may have different thoughts about what he wants to happen and what he wants to do in the backseat of the car with your daughter. Now I can, because I do NLP and all that voodoo stuff, I can talk to your daughter. I can make it so that she will do anything for anybody. I can make her totally subservient, if that's what you want me to do. So he said no. So what they'd done there is they'd kept the behaviour that was the problem, stubborn. They'd moved it in a story to another where that behaviour was useful. That's a reframe, that's a submodality, that's a state change. Totally changed everything for that guy. Another reframe is where we don't take the behaviour that's the problem and move it, we keep it constant. So another lady came to them and she said, I'm just so stressed. I've got a husband, I've got 2 sons. They work in construction and we've got a beautiful home. I keep the home nice, tidy, clean, and we've got a beautiful carpet. But what I've noticed is that when they come in, they don't take their boots off. They sit, they watch TV, and where the sofa is, in front of the sofa, the carpet, it's starting to get little divots. Every day I hoover and clean, and the carpet looks pristine, but every time they come home, they sit, they drink beer, they watch, and you know, the house is a mess. And so Bandler said, right, close your eyes. I want you to imagine your house. I want you to be there now. So she said, yeah. And he says, I want you to look around. And I want you to see and notice how pristine and perfect the house is. So she's there. And he says, I want you to go through each room. And I want you to then come to the front room where the carpet is. So she's like, yeah. So she just checked out all the house. Brilliant. He says, just take a look around the front room and notice how everything is in its place. And notice specifically the carpet, and in front of the sofa, it's pristine. Now this woman's like, oh yeah, that's great. And then Bandler said, because your sons and your husband are dead. That's a meaning reframe. 2 different styles. But they evoked a certain pain. You were using anchor in there. We were using submodalities. And then just at a point, when you add another piece of language, all the submodalities and the meaning and the state changes. That's the level that you're at now. You don't have to go through, what can you see? Is it a big picture? Is it over there? Oh, right, okay, yeah, right. Hang on. What can you hear? Well, you can't hear any sounds. Is it quiet? How quiet is it? Where's the quiet? Is it inside? You don't have to do that. But if you can connect and listen and lead them into one state and then say something and it, that's where change occurs. That's a collapsed anchor linguistically. So you can appreciate the things that you did in South London that were very important, which I wanted you and Steve wanted you to go through, so you'd appreciate when you use language, you're doing the same things, but linguistically, easily, smoothly, and precisely. Does that make sense? So reframing is a real art, and it's a real process that can be done really quickly. A person changes a whole host of things. So if a person comes with a behaviour, you find out the story, the form about it, and it's like, okay, can we move this behaviour into another context where things will be different? So that's what you're going to do now with each other. You're going to get, or you change the meaning. So it might be, you know, my father shouts at me when I get things wrong. Great. So he really wants you to learn it. Never thought of that. So the art of reframing is taking something, adding language, and it totally creates the whole new meaning. A new officer in Brooklyn, small police lady, first day on the job, gets called to a brownstone. A brownstone is those houses that you get in New York State, with like the stairs down. And so there she is, and there's a big domestic going on, and she can hear this guy and this woman on the first floor really, really going for it. It's like violent. She knows it. She can hear it. There's a crowd of people outside. She knocks on the door. They don't stop. She knocks louder. And a TV flies out of the window. Smash. Comes down at the side of her. Smashes. She's all alone. It's the first day on the job. And this guy upstairs, it's becoming more violent. She's called for backup, but it's not there yet. So she bangs a lot harder on the door. And she hears a voice saying, "Who is it?" And she says, "It's the TV repairman." And the whole situation changed. So I'm not saying you'll get it right first time. All I'm saying is, for you as practitioners of NLP, for you as change agents, for you as human beings, if you can take something that's real, that's happening, that's emotional, and change it just by adapting a different language pattern to it, that's a real skill. And I can give you lots of examples of where that's happened in my life, or examples of reframes. What I want you to do now is get in groups of 3. One person come up with something that they'd love to have reframed. They would then leave. You and your partner would then come up with reframes, and here's how you would deliver the reframe. When they come back in, excuse me, you would say their name slowly. You would say, Dominic. Because when you say a person's name, it's attached to, they're not just like 20% Dominic, they're 100% Dominic. A name is a label that, when I was at school, the headmaster would shout, I want to see John Thompson in my office, and that meant trouble. Now for me, every cell in my body went warm. There was another guy called John Thompson who was like never in trouble. He nearly fainted. And when they brought him round, I said, we all know it's not you. So when somebody says your name, it really activates a lot of cells. So you'll say, Dominic. And then you'll say whatever he said about what he wants reframing. And then you'll say the reframe. But you'll say it half the speed. And you'll say it in a way where your secondary communication can be taken in multiple ways. So if he says, my partner doesn't understand me, one reframe could be, Dominic, isn't it great that your partner doesn't understand you? Yeah. So you just give it back in a way that they know there's something else coming. So I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm just saying calibrate. That's the exercise. Because where we're going, you're going to be using all of these things. I appreciate this is the first time you maybe done a reframe exercise like this, but we will be stacking the deck and layering things in. But that's the exercise for right now. So the hypnotic skills and the language patterns that you've had previously, you're going to be using those in this exercise. Groups of 3. One by one you'll go out. The other 2 will be quite creative. You might move it into another context if it's a behaviour, or you might look at how you can change the meaning linguistically and repeat that back.
Can you just take it from the top? So that we've got into a group of 3, then what?
Okay, so if we're in a group of 3, right, what might you want to have changed? Okay, what have you got?
I'm angry with my brother.
About what? Give us the story.
He lives with my ex-husband.
Okay, so what? She's angry with her brother, because... I can tell she's angry because she's smiling. She's going... So I know, but there's probably something there because she dipped into... So you're angry with your brother
Yeah.
because he's living with your ex-husband.
Yeah.
Now let me just clarify something here. Oh, right, okay. Right. Yeah. No. Right. Now to some degree, what are we doing here? Well, yeah, but I don't personally think this is about anger. Why? Because she's sort of laughing. And she's sort of nodding. So, this is maybe about something else. Is it about something else?
Probably, yes.
Right.
No.
Okay. So shall we change it? So there's something, but you don't know what it is yet. And it's, part of it is your brother living with your ex-husband. I mean, they're my words. I mean, how would you put it?
I suppose more it's upset rather than anger.
Right.
That my brother, and it's about my brother, not my ex-husband.
Right. So who are you upset with?
My brother.
Have you told your brother that?
Yes.
Right. And what?
And he's still living there.
Okay.
But has said that he'll move out.
And what would happen if he did move out?
Probably not a lot.
Right. So, I'm going real here. So this is, first thing you do is clarify that it is real. This is something else. Because this is something to do with sadness, and to some degree, whether he moves out or not, it's not really about that. This is about something else. No, I'm just saying, is it? Because I've just said if he did move out, you said, well, maybe. So it's gone from anger to sadness to...
Okay, so I suppose it's about the friendship rather than the fact that they're living in the same house.
the friendship of what?
My brother and him.
So is it not a good thing that he's able to choose his own friends?
Yes.
So that's an example. There are a couple of places we could go here, because this will be attached to other things, but I just then got a little bit of information and reframe that. That's what you do. But that for you I know is real and attached to maybe a few other things. Okay. So that's the exercise. You'd elaborate, then you'd let them go, and then you'd come back, and then you'd say, like the reframe there was,
So the other two people are discussing how they would handle it.
yeah, it's almost like if we'd have sent the person out, we'd think, well, what could we do? Well, we could say this, we could say that. So you'd write the reframes down, that would be one of them that I used, and you just calibrate. So when I said it, something happened. She changed. You'd say the ones that you've written down, but then you'd shoot from the hip. Sometimes when you repeat back what the person said, so your brother is living with your ex-husband. Sometimes when you repeat it back, it's like, oh yeah, but you'd repeat it slower. And you might add something on. Be creative.
The exercise is just one person.
No, all three.
Right.
So I want all three of you to experience, because to some degree when you're out there, what's going to be happening? You're going to be thinking about what they're going to be doing. So actually, when you're out there, you're actually reframing yourself. When you come in, what you've done out there, chances are, is not what they've done in here, because they're going to be quite provocative and creative and humorous. So it's like, when do you change out there, or do you change in here? I don't know. It's just an exercise.
What do you do if they say, like, I just want to yes, but one could yes, but because it's not reframed it enough for them, they still feel the sadness. Do you then just do another reframe until they agree with you.
This exercise is, as I've explained, because we're moving on to where you would do other things. Now, what was I using here to get more information? The meta model. So she gave me something. I then used the meta model to get more information, and then I used some language as a reframe. If she'd have changed, and at certain times you could tell me or not, I experienced you getting a little bit emotional. Right. Now, that's why I said there's a couple of places we could go here. I could have gone into an intervention, and we'd have gone probably somewhere else, and she would have changed something else. I would have been using the Milton model. Because people come to you with what they think is a problem, and it's not. It's not what they present. The reason why they've not been able to sort it is because that's not the problem. The problem's attached to it. And we're going to teach you how to get to that. That's where we're going. So do the exercise. 3 ways. Let's say 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll move on to dealing with conflicts.